People comment all the time asking me how they can lose fat while building muscle or without losing muscle, and I spend a lot of time responding to these comments, so I figured I might as well make a video explaining it. People really overcomplicate losing fat. They make a lot of huge mistakes like dropping their calories way too much, which just destroys their metabolism, and they end up putting all the weight back on. They don't eat enough protein, so they end up losing muscle while they're trying to lose fat as well. So I'm going to clear all of that up in this video. The main way that people try to lose weight is by reducing their calories. So you find your maintenance calories and then you reduce that number by no more than 500 calories. A lot of people make the mistake of reducing it by a drastic amount, like 1,000 calories, so that, you know, they're eating like 1,500 calories a day and they're just starving themselves. And what that does to your body is it slows down your metabolism, which makes you extra sensitive to calories, and you're going to gain fat really quickly once you stop your cut, because your body thinks it's starving and it wants to hold on to as many calories and as much energy as it can to prevent starvation. So you only reduce calories by a small amount, like 300 to 500 calories, and focus on total weekly calories and weight decreases rather than the daily little fluctuations. You want to lose about 1 pound or half a kilo of weight per week. That's a good sustainable rate. Any faster than that and you're probably destroying your metabolism, and it's probably not going to be sustainable. So the big picture is more important here, like weekly changes and just very sustainable, slow weight loss over time. And you don't have to be absolutely perfect like every day, every meal. You want to make your week pretty much like 90% on track for your calories. So it's okay if you mess up like in a couple of meals during the week. You just want to have the weekly numbers on track for where you want to be. A huge calorie deficit is also bad because your body can lose muscle because it's consuming its own muscle to try and get energy, because the energy is lacking from the food sources that it would usually get it from. So you don't need a huge deficit to sustainably lose fat. Just be patient and use a small caloric deficit. More recent research has suggested that it's actually more beneficial to get into a caloric deficit by increasing your activity and enhancing your metabolism rather than dropping your caloric intake. This still allows you to eat plenty of food, but you'll still be in a deficit because you're burning more calories, so you're still going to be losing weight. If you have a big appetite and you really struggle to reduce your caloric intake, you like eating a lot of food, then this might be a good option for you. So you want to do more cardio, which directly burns calories, things like running, cycling, sprinting, martial arts training. All of those things will directly burn calories, which will allow you to lose weight. You also want to increase your total energy expenditure. You can do that by doing cardio like I just said, but also by increasing your general activity level. So sitting less and like standing and walking around more, instead of, you know, sitting for like 10 hours a day. Try and get a standing desk if that's an option, or do some kind of work where you're on your feet rather than sitting down all the time. You also want to walk at least 10,000 steps a day, and if you want to get even more benefits, then up to like 15,000 steps a day. Walking increases your basal metabolic rate, which is like the number of calories that your body uses just for like survival purposes. Walking improves digestion, which allows food to move through your digestive system faster, and walking doesn't make you hungry like harder cardio does. Very importantly, you want to increase your basal metabolic rate by building more muscle. This is probably the main thing that you should focus on, because muscle burns more calories than fat. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to be burning, and the easier it's going to be to lose fat. So focus on lifting weights in the gym like 2 to 5 days a week, increasing the size of your muscle by using hypertrophy rep ranges like 5 to 30 reps and 3 to 5 sets per exercise, and pushing close to failure. That's going to help you build muscle, and you can make this more efficient by focusing on the large muscle groups that are going to be more like bang for your buck. So like your legs, your back and your chest, they're some of the biggest muscles in your body, and if you grow them with big like compound movements, that's going to have like the fastest effect on improving your metabolism and losing fat. It's part of the reason why everyone always tells you to focus on the big compound exercises. Another tool you can use to help you burn more fat is intermittent fasting. So this is where you restrict your eating window to like 8 hours a day. So maybe you skip breakfast and you eat your first meal at like 11 a.m. or a bit later at lunchtime. Benefits include increased growth hormone and testosterone, which are obviously important for muscle growth and performance. You have decreased insulin levels, which leads to fat being burned for energy rather than being like stored. You have increased noradrenaline, which also breaks down fat to be used for energy, and it improves your focus and your like energy levels. And fasting also just makes it easier to reduce calories. Like if you skip breakfast, you're probably going to eat fewer calories throughout the rest of your day. So fasting is another tool that you can use to help you burn fat without necessarily manipulating calories. It just puts your body into a more efficient fat burning state. You can also use heat therapy or cold therapy like sauna or cold plunge, and these release heat shock proteins that improve insulin signaling, which encourages your body to burn more fat. So none of the things I just mentioned involve directly manipulating caloric intake. All of these things will just turn your body into a fat burning machine, make it more efficient at using fat for energy rather than food. So now that we know what we can do to make ourselves into a fat burning machine and how to manipulate our calories, we can talk about what we need to eat. Diet really isn't that complicated. You just want to try and eat a bunch of whole foods like different fruit, vegetables, meat, fish, some eggs, dairy, and honey for like pre-workout, and to sweeten things. Try and avoid processed foods like most bread, pasta, pizza, soda, cakes, cookies, sweets, and other junk food. You want to eat whole foods that are nutritionally dense and highly bioavailable. And importantly, you want to find the foods that work best for your body. So the foods that digest well and make you feel good. Everyone's body is different, so you're going to have to experiment. You might find that like a high fat, low carb diet with a lot of animal products is better for you, or your body might prefer a high carb, like plant-based diet with lots of fruit and vegetables and maybe only a little bit of like meat and fish. Obviously some people can't tolerate dairy, some people can't tolerate gluten, so you have to individualize your diet to yourself using like the basic principles of like whole foods, highly nutritious, and digests well. Those are some good guidelines to use when like picking foods that will fit into your diet. And you need to get your protein intake to 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 1.8 to 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight. When you're trying to lose weight, your body is more likely to tap into muscle as a fuel source for energy. So you need to increase your protein intake so that your body uses that extra protein for energy instead of tapping into your muscle protein stores, and that way you're going to maintain more muscle than if you kept your protein like fairly low. So just to summarize what I talked about in this video, you want to get into a caloric deficit of about 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance. That doesn't necessarily mean reducing your caloric intake by this much. You just want to increase your activity to get into a deficit by walking 10 to 15,000 steps a day and doing more cardio. And you want to enhance your fat burning by building muscle, most importantly, being generally more active, like sitting less, walking around more. And you could try intermittent fasting and sauna or cold plunge, and then eat whole food which are highly nutritious and digest well, and which you enjoy, importantly, and that you're going to stick to eating. And try and get your diet right about 90% of the time. So it's okay to have a couple of like treats every now and then, but you want to be just mostly on track for where you want to go. So thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you understand what it takes to lose fat. It's really not super complicated. You just have to be in a caloric deficit and enhance your body's fat burning abilities using the things I talked about in this video. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.